The spotlight burned hot against my skin, but the cold came from the front row. My mother stood at the podium, microphone in hand, smiling that practiced smile I'd seen my whole life. Behind her, my twin sister Madeline held her phone up, recording everything. The auditorium at Portland State University was packed. Families cheering, cameras flashing, the smell of roses and cheap champagne drifting through the air. I'd walked across that stage moments earlier, my name echoing through the speakers. Harper, Elizabeth Morgan, Bachelor of Science, in Data Analytics, summa cum laude. But the applause had been polite, distant. Nothing like the eruption Madeline received when her name was called 10 minutes before mine. Now, my mother cleared her throat, and the room quieted. She began, sweetly, her voice dripping with false warmth. "I'm so grateful to be here today celebrating both my daughters." She paused, letting the word both hang in the air like bait. Madeline has always had that spark, that vision, that leadership quality. She gestured toward my sister, who beamed, soaking in every word. And Harper, well, Harper has always been the practical one. The way she said practical felt like a slap. She's great at working hard, at grinding, at being dependable. Madeline leaned into the microphone her mother held and added, laughing, "Yeah, Harper only knows how to work. She never learned how to actually live." The room erupted in laughter. My aunts, my cousins, even strangers in the back rows, who didn't know us, all laughing. My father sat beside them, chuckling quietly, nodding along, like this was normal, like humiliating me in front of hundreds of people was just family banter. I stood frozen on the side of the stage, my diploma clutched in my hand, my face burning. Dozens of phones were aimed at me now, recording my reaction, waiting for me to cry, or scream, or collapse. But I didn't. Something inside me that had been bending for years finally snapped into place, straight, cold, unbreakable. I walked off the stage without a word, no tears, no yelling, just the sound of my heels clicking against the wood floor as I left the auditorium. Behind me, the laughter faded into confused murmurs. I kept walking. Out the doors, into the parking lot, into my beat-up Honda Civic that smelled like old coffee and gasoline. I sat there for a long time, hands on the steering wheel, staring at nothing. My phone buzzed. A group chat message from my mother. It was just a joke. "Harper, don't be so sensitive." Madeline had liked it. That was the moment I realized something crucial. They hadn't broken me. They'd freed me. If you've ever been the family disappointment, the one they laughed at while pretending it was love, stay with me. Because what happened next changed everything. Growing up, people always assumed Madeline and I were close. We were twins born 4 minutes apart in a Portland hospital on a rainy October morning. But those 4 minutes might as well have been 4 years. From the beginning, the world treated us differently. When we were 6, Madeline got a bike for her birthday, shiny pink with streamers on the handlebars. I got her old tricycle, spray-painted silver to look new. When we were 10, Madeline forgot her homework, and my mother Carol wrote a note to the teacher excusing her, saying she'd been sick. When I forgot mine, I got a lecture about responsibility that lasted through dinner. By high school, the pattern was set in stone. Madeline got the lead in the school play. I worked weekend shifts at a coffee shop on Hawthorne Street, the kind of place where the espresso machine hissed, louder than the customers, and my hands smelled like burnt beans, no matter how many times I washed them. My uniform was brown, stained, too big. My manager yelled at me for being too slow, too quiet, too forgettable. I'd come home exhausted, and my mother would be on the couch with Madeline, looking at college brochures, talking about her future like it was already written in gold. "Harper, you're so independent," my mother would say without looking up. "You don't need help like your sister does." My father Richard was quieter but just as complicit. He worked as an accountant for a small firm downtown, the kind of man who avoided conflict by pretending it didn't exist. When Madeline asked for money, he'd pull out his wallet without question. When I asked, he'd sigh and say, "You're resourceful, Harper. Figure it out." So I did. I figured out how to work 3 part-time jobs while taking AP classes. I figured out how to apply for scholarships alone. sitting in the library at midnight because our house was always too loud with Madeline's friends. I figured out how to smile when my mother bought Madeline a prom dress that cost more than my entire wardrobe. The dress was lavender, strapless, perfect. Madeline twirled in it, laughing, while I stood in the doorway in my uniform, still smelling like coffee. "You look beautiful," I said, and I meant it. She didn't even glance at me. That was the year I learned that being strong wasn't a compliment. It was a sentence. When we both got accepted to Portland State University, I thought maybe things would change. Same campus, same opportunities, a fresh start. But within the first week, the divide was clear. Madeline moved into a dorm on campus, a bright room with big windows overlooking the park. My parents paid her tuition in full, bought her textbooks, gave her a monthly allowance for food and fun. I moved into a shared apartment off campus, a place where the heat barely worked and you could hear your neighbors' arguments through the walls. I worked at the university library, shelving books until midnight, my hands cracked from dust and cleaning chemicals. I picked up shifts at a grocery store on weekends, scanning items under fluorescent lights that buzzed too loud and gave me headaches. And I took a third job typing captions for online videos, sitting at my laptop at 2 a.m., my eyes burning, my coffee cold. Madeline's Instagram was full of parties, beach trips, brunches with friends in matching outfits. Mine was empty. I didn't have time to post. I barely had time to sleep. One night during our sophomore year, I got a notification from my bank. An automatic payment had gone through, $320 for a student loan I didn't recognize. I called the number on the statement. The representative confirmed the loan was under my name, co-signed with my parents, but the money had gone toward Madeline's expenses. "Wait," I said, my voice shaking. "I didn't sign anything." The representative paused. "It says here you're listed as the co-borrower. If you believe this is an error, you'll need to file a dispute." I hung up and checked my credit report. There it was. Not just one loan, but three. A car loan for Madeline's silver Honda, a credit card my parents had opened in my name, a refinancing of their house that I'd never even heard about. Total debt in my name, $47,000. I sat on my bed, staring at the screen, my chest tight. I thought about calling my mother, asking her why, begging for an explanation, but I already knew. They'd used me because I had better credit, because I worked and saved and never missed a payment. I'd been funding their comfort while they called me independent. The weeks leading up to graduation were strange. My mother kept texting me about a special family moment she wanted to create at the ceremony. "We want to honor both of you," she wrote. "It'll be beautiful." I should have known better. I should have recognized the setup. That part of me, the part that still wanted to believe my family loved me, agreed. Madeline and I both graduated with degrees in business. Hers in marketing, mine in data analytics. I'd spent 4 years grinding, working, sacrificing, and somehow I'd made it summa cum laude, top of my class. Madeline had scraped by with a 2.7 GPA and a portfolio full of group projects where other people did the work. The night before graduation, I ironed my black gown carefully, steam rising in my tiny kitchen. I bought a small bouquet of flowers for myself because I knew no one else would. Madeline posted a photo of the designer dress she'd wear under her gown, a cream silk slip that cost more than my rent. My father sent a message in the family group chat. "Tomorrow is a big day. You'll understand everything soon. Harper, it's all out of love." I stared at that message for a long time. It felt like a warning. The morning of graduation arrived with clear skies and warm sun, the kind of June day that makes Portland feel forgiving. The auditorium filled with families, the air thick with perfume and anticipation. I sat in the third row of graduates, my hands folded in my lap, watching my parents and Madeline take their seats in the front row. They'd brought signs, balloons, a professional camera. My mother wore pearls. My father wore a suit. Madeline wore that silk dress and a smile that made my stomach turn. When my name was called, I walked across the stage, shook the dean's hand, and accepted my diploma. The applause was thin, polite, forgettable. When Madeline's name was called, my mother stood up, cheering like she'd won the lottery. Then came the moment my mother had planned. The dean handed her the microphone and stepped aside, Smiling, "We have a special tribute today," he said, "from the Morgan family." My mother took the stage, her voice smooth, controlled, practiced. She talked about raising 2 daughters, about how proud she was. Then her tone shifted. "Madeline has always been the dreamer," she said, "the one with vision, with ambition. She's going places." She turned toward me, still standing off to the side. "Harper has always been practical. She's dependable. She works hard." She said it like it was an apology. Madeline grabbed the microphone. "Yeah, Harper never stops working," she said, laughing. "But she never really learned how to live, you know?" The room erupted. Laughter, applause, cameras flashing. My mother beamed. My father clapped. And I stood there, frozen, watching them humiliate me in front of everyone I'd worked so hard to prove myself to. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just walked off the stage, left the auditorium, and sat in my car, staring at my hands. My phone buzzed. The group chat? It was just a joke. "Harper, lighten up." Something inside me stopped breaking and started building. I didn't go to the family dinner that night. I drove home, locked the door, and opened my laptop. The first thing I did was pull up my credit report again, this time printing every page. Then I logged into my bank account and downloaded every statement from the past 3 years. I created a folder on my desktop and labeled it evidence. Then I called Oregon Community Bank. The woman who answered was kind, professional. I explained the situation calmly. She put me on hold. When she came back, her tone had changed. "Señora Morgan, it looks like your name was added as a cosigner on 3 accounts. 2 loans and 1 credit card. The primary account holders are Richard and Carol Morgan." "I didn't sign anything," I said. "Then this may be identity theft," she said. "We can start an investigation, but you'll need to file a police report." I thanked her and hung up. Then, I did something I'd never done before. I called my mother and recorded the conversation. Oregon is a one-party consent state, which meant I didn't need to tell her I was recording. When she picked up, her voice was light, dismissive. "Harper, are you still upset about the ceremony?" It was harmless. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I found out you used my name as a cosigner on loans I didn't agree to. Why?" There was a pause. Then she laughed, short and sharp. "You had better credit we needed help. You're always so independent. We figured you wouldn't mind." "I do mind," I said, "and I'm reporting it as fraud." The line went silent. Then she exploded. "You wouldn't dare. I'm your mother, we raised you. You owe us." "I don't owe you anything," I said, and ended the call. I saved the recording, backed it up to 3 different places, and labeled it clearly, June 14th, 2025. Confession. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker, knowing that the version of me who wanted their love was gone. The version who remained wanted justice. 2 days later, the video appeared. Someone in the audience had filmed the entire ceremony on their phone and posted it to TikTok. The caption read, "Family publicly shames twin at graduation. This is abuse, within 24 hours." It had 500,000 views. By the end of the week, it was over 2 million. The comments poured in. "This is disgusting. Someone find this girl and help her. The mom and sister are horrible. I hope Harper is okay." People found Madeline's Instagram. They found my parents' Facebook pages. They found my LinkedIn. The internet had seen my humiliation, and now it wanted accountability. Madeline deleted her Instagram within hours. My mother posted a long, defensive rant about how people didn't understand family dynamics and how the video was taken out of context. That only made it worse. The video hit 5 million views. News outlets in Portland picked it up. A local journalist reached out asking for an interview. Primera declined, but my lawyer didn't. I'd hired Lisa Torres 2 days after the ceremony. She specialized in financial fraud and family law. She was sharp, mid-40s, with steel gray hair and a voice that didn't waste words. "This is a clear case," she said, reviewing my evidence. "Identity theft, unauthorized use of credit. They're liable. I want them held accountable, I said. Then we'll make sure they are. The meeting happened at Oregon Community Bank's downtown branch in a cold conference room with glass walls overlooking the street. My parents arrived late, my mother in sunglasses, my father in a wrinkled shirt. Madeline came too, looking pale, her hands shaking. The bank manager, Mr. Chun, sat at the head of the table. Lisa sat beside me, a stack of documents in front of her. She didn't waste time. We're here to address 3 accounts opened under Harper Morgan's name, without her consent. The evidence shows clear identity theft. My mother interrupted. This is a family matter. She's overreacting. Mr. Chun raised a hand. Mrs. Morgan, this is a federal crime. The bank takes it very seriously. Lisa slid the documents across the table. Loan agreements. Credit card applications. My signature forged on every one. My mother's face went pale. My father stared at the papers like they might disappear. Madeline whispered, I didn't know. You didn't ask, I said quietly. Lisa continued, Harper is requesting full removal from all accounts. The bank has agreed you'll be responsible for the debt going forward. My father tried to speak. We'll pay you back, Harper. We just need time. I don't want your money, I said. I want you out of my life. My mother stood, her voice shaking. You're destroying this family. I met her eyes. You did that at graduation. The documents were signed. My name was removed. I walked out of that room lighter than I'd been in years. As I reached the door, I heard my mother whisper, she regret this. But I didn't look back. The fallout was swift. The video kept spreading, and now it had my parents' names attached. My father's employer, a small accounting firm in Portland, let him go quietly. Reputational damage. Te Cayed, Italiano. Madeline lost the internship she'd been offered at a local marketing agency. The hiring manager had seen the video and didn't want the association. My parents' house, the one they'd refinanced, using my name, started receiving foreclosure warnings. Without my income propping them up, they couldn't make the payments. Meanwhile, I received messages from recruiters, people who'd seen the video, read the story, and wanted to support me. One was from Amazon, offering a data analyst position in Seattle. The pay was double what I'd been making. I accepted without hesitation. Within 2 weeks, I'd packed everything I owned into my car and driven north. The Seattle skyline appeared through the rain, sharp and clean, and I felt like I could finally breathe. I rented a small apartment in Capitol Hill, painted the walls white, and hung my diploma on the wall. Beside it, I framed the document from the bank releasing me from the loans. 2 pieces of paper, 2 versions of freedom. I blocked every number. My parents, Madeline, aunts, cousins, everyone. The silence was immediate and absolute. No more guilt, no more demands, just space. 6 months passed. I settled into my job, made friends, started running again. My boss praised my work. My coworkers invited me to happy hours. I learned what it felt like to be valued, not used. One evening, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Harper, it's Madeline. I'm sorry. I see it now. Mom and Dad were wrong. Can we talk? I read it twice, then set the phone down. For a moment, I thought about responding, about explaining, about trying one more time. Then I looked around my apartment, the plants on the windowsill, the coffee table I'd bought myself, the quiet hum of the city outside. I didn't need to explain. I didn't need to forgive. I just needed to keep living. I deleted the message. Not out of anger, but out of peace. The rain tapped against the window. I poured myself tea and sat by the glass, watching the lights of Seattle shimmer below. For years, I'd thought I needed their approval to matter. Now I knew I only needed my own respect. Somewhere in Portland, my family was dealing with the consequences of their choices. And here, in this small apartment with white walls and secondhand furniture, I was finally free. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's simply living well without them. If you've ever had to choose yourself over family, tell me your story below. And if this resonated, subscribe, because there's more where this came from.